So have you thought about competing in the 4-H public speaking contest? Well, the first step to doing so is writing your speech. In a moment, but not yet, pause the slideshow and download the My Speech worksheet and grab a pencil. You will be filling out this sheet as you watch this slideshow. So restart the slideshow when you have your pencil and the worksheet. Pause the slideshow now. The first step in writing a speech is to determine the purpose of the speech. Are you trying to inform the audience, explain, or teach them or give facts? Do you want to persuade them and gain their support or convince them of something? Do you want to inspire them by stirring emotions or making an emotional impact? Do you want to entertain them with humor? Do something that makes them laugh? By identifying the purpose of your speech first, you can pick a topic that allows you to follow that purpose. When deciding on the purpose of your speech, think about where you are giving the speech, a contest or an event guest, and who you're giving it to. Who's the audience? And both factors can affect what outcome you want for your speech. For a 4-H speech, any of these purposes will work. In a moment, but not yet, pause the slideshow. On the My Speech worksheet, write in the purpose of your speech. When you have done that, restart the slideshow. Pause the slideshow now. There are an unlimited number of topics for you to speak about. Here are some broad topics that you can choose from. They are not the only ones. These are just ideas to get you started. You can try personal experience, something from your daily life or something from the past. Talk about a sport you enjoy or watching or playing. Hobbies that would be interesting to others to learn about would be fun. You can even pick hobbies that you'd like to learn about. Places that you have traveled or would like to travel to. You don't have to have gone there. You can just do research and talk about what you've learned. Pets can be about a pet that you've had, have right now, or one you would like to have. You can tell a funny story or share information that will make the audience laugh. Share your values or goals. Select ones that show what kind of person you are. And stories and facts about your family that they wouldn't mind you telling the audience. Don't embarrass anyone. You could also talk about your opinions about school and experiences in school. In a moment, but not yet, pause the video and write the topic you wish to speak about on the worksheet. When you have completed this, restart the slideshow. Pause the slideshow now. So now that you have your topic, you need to narrow it. And ask yourself some questions to do that. Does it fit your interests, capability, and experience? Are you interested in it enough to research and write a 3 to 7 minute speech about it? Will the audience be interested? They'll be interested if they learn something new about your topic. Telling them what they already know can be really boring. Does the topic fit the occasion? Remember that you are speaking in front of other 4-Hers and their families. Select a topic that is tasteful and appropriate for you to share with a group of people that don't know you very well. Your speech will help define who you are. Make sure the message you are sending reflects who you truly are. Can the topic be covered properly within the time allotted? Depending on your age, you have between 3 to 7 minutes. A timer will be playing while your speech is going on, and you will be scored partially on whether you're within the time limit. Take the topic of pets for an example. That's too broad. Selecting a topic like dogs is also too broad. Narrow it to a dog that you had, have, or a particular breed that you are interested in. You are not giving a lesson on dogs, just telling the audience some things about the dog you are speaking on. Pick things that are very interesting. Now, in a moment, but not yet, using the topic you wrote on the worksheet, ask yourself these questions to narrow that topic. Once you have done that, restart the slideshow. Pause the slideshow now. The next step is to gather information. In some cases, people you already know may be the best sources of information if you are talking about personal experiences. If you are talking about facts, you can speak with experts in the subject. Observe and take notes on people, places, and events by examining what is in your daily life. Things you see or experience can push you to find information from other sources. Watch videos, movies, and television programs on the topic. Be sure the program gives accurate information. Giving out the wrong information makes you look unprepared and can make the listener tune you out. Visit the library for books, magazines, and newspapers on the topic you're researching. Remembering things from your own thoughts and experiences is important, especially if you are talking about things like how you feel about a topic or your values or goals, or when you're telling the story of something that has happened to you. In a moment, but not yet, pause the slideshow and on the worksheet, list the sources you plan to use to write your speech. When you are finished, restart the slideshow. Pause the slideshow now. Once you've selected and narrowed your topic and gathered the information you need, it is time to write your speech. Begin by writing an outline. This is where you put the main points of the topic. Just put down one sentence for each point. The information you write down is the outline of the body, the longest part of your speech. The body is the first section you write because it is all the information you will be using, and it's what the listener needs to understand about the topic you are speaking on. After you have your outline, then take your facts and put them with the main points of your outline. Once you do that, you will have the difficult part of the body completed. At this point, give detailed information that fills in any gaps you have in your main points. Just make sure that all the main points are related. If they aren't, the listener will get lost and stop listening to your speech, including the judges. For the rest of the slideshow, you probably won't be able to fill out the other parts of the worksheet until you have gathered information. However, throughout the slideshow, I will refer to the worksheet that you can come back to and complete later on. If you have already gathered information, pause the slideshow and write your outline. When you are finished with the outline, restart the slideshow. Pause the slideshow now. Now you have to write the introduction. And there are many ways to start an introduction. An example is a famous quote. Ben Franklin once said, "Lost time is never found again." How do we waste time and wish we had something meaningful that we'd done? Chocolate is the best ice cream flavor. That's an example of making a bold statement. That's just like last week when I was eating lunch. That was referring to a recent incident, and that's something to base a story on. Pick a short story or joke that is tasteful and appropriate for the audience and related to your topic. If you asked a question like, "Have you ever thought of owning an elephant, a llama?" Come up with a question that can be answered later in your speech. By asking a question, you get the audience to participate in your speech and listen carefully to find the answer. In a moment, but not yet, pause the slideshow and fill out answers to at least 2 of the introduction suggestions. When you are finished, restart the slideshow. Pause the slideshow now. The final part of your speech to write is the conclusion. And it's important because people need to know that the speech is ending. They could be so wrapped up in the body that if you end without letting them know it is the end, they may feel like they were left hanging and not getting complete information. Make an impact by saying something related to the topic that is strong, forceful, or meaningful. While the conclusion is important, it only takes up 5 to 10% of your speech time, and it is not as important as the body, but it is still very important. You can do things like use a quote. This is another time that a quote is good. You can give a quote that relates somehow to your topic. You can also tell a story that illustrates your point, something to wrap it up, something short and interesting, but a way to illustrate the points you've gone over in the body of your speech. And finally, you can ask a question that they will consider after the speech is over. By giving them something to think about or answer, your speech will become more memorable. In a moment, but not yet, pause the slideshow and fill out answers to at least 2 of the conclusion suggestions. When you are finished, restart the slideshow. Pause the slideshow now. A great way to make a conclusion is to tie your speech together by referring to what you talked about in the introduction. This will leave the listener feeling satisfied with the speech and feeling like you completed what you started. Review the main points from your outline to remind the listener what you talked about. This will get them focused on the message you wanted to get across to them. Another thing you can do is ask them to do something. This is especially important in persuasive, convincing speeches. So by giving them something to do when the speech is over, it further cements in their mind what you talked about. Memorize your conclusion. This is the most important part of the speech for you to be strong and not stumble. It is okay to lose your place in the body of the speech, but in the conclusion, you need to be confident and sure of what you are saying. Don't have your conclusion go on so long that you run out of time. You will have to practice the speech to know if the conclusion is within the maximum speech time. And don't introduce new information. Once you've told the audience that you are concluding the speech, they're not expecting anything new, just wrapping up what you've already told them. New facts in the conclusion can make the listener think you are unprepared and that the facts you are adding are an afterthought and not really planned. In a moment, but not yet, pause the slideshow and fill out the answers to at least 2 of these conclusion suggestions. When you are finished, restart the slideshow. Pause the slideshow now. So let's review the steps to writing a speech. You need to determine the purpose. You need to select a topic, narrow the topic, develop an outline, and then you need to write the body, the introduction, and the conclusion. Now that you've written a speech, it's ready to practice your speech. In the next slideshow, we will talk about delivering your speech.